everybody, it's great to see you all again. Thanks for tuning in to another cooking episode. Today what we're going to be doing is puff pastry. Now I'm going to actually be making some cream horns with this puff pastry, so it's so simple. You can go ahead and buy puff pastry at the store if you want to. This is a great recipe and it's quick. There's a lot of recipes out there that take lots of time, chilling in the refrigerator, taking it out, rolling it, folding it, putting it back in the refrigerator, chilling it 30 more minutes, taking it back out. And you do that over several times, but this is actually a really quick recipe that you don't have to do that to. And they still come out really, really good, and it takes like a fraction of the time to make. So I kind of wanted to show you a little quick way to do it, and also a way that you can actually make this at home without buying puff pastry. So it kind of is a 2-for-1 deal. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. The trick to this is to keep everything very cold. So the butter was in the refrigerator. I have it sitting on my cold granite countertop. If you don't have granite, that's fine, just keep it in the refrigerator, but the granite really holds the cold well. So even when I'm working on the surface, it's going to really work well. So if you have those at home, then great, you're ahead of the game. If not, don't worry about it. Just stick it in the refrigerator, okay? So we're gonna start right off with first the flour. Now I'm gonna put this all in the food processor. It works really well in the food processor. If you don't have one, then just give it a few stirs with a mixer or even by hand. You can definitely do that, but try to just use a fork in order to do that, and try to keep your hands out of it as much as possible, because your hands will conduct the heat and it melts the butter. So it's kind of difficult to actually keep that flakiness of the pastry when it's really warm, okay? So just kind of a word to the wise, try to keep everything as cold as possible. So I'm here in Maine, it's nice and cold here, so I shouldn't have a problem, right? Exactly. So we're first gonna start off with the flour. So we're gonna go ahead and add 2 cups of flour to that. And you can use all-purpose flour, doesn't have to be cake flour or bread flour or anything like that. So and I'm gonna go ahead and add 2 cups right to my food processor, and it's already got the mixing attachment right in the bottom of it, so that's no problem at all there. So 2 cups of all-purpose flour goes right in there. I love making puff pastry. You can use it for croissants, you can use it for danishes, you can use it for whatever you want. And you can have a ball with it, put some jam in it, kind of like what I did with the pie crust, only this puff pastry is just amazing for this. So now after I've added the 2 cups of flour, I'm gonna add some salt to it. Now I'm using salted butter, so I only have to use a fraction of the salt. So I'm using 1/4 teaspoon. Now if you want to use unsalted butter when you do this, I always use salted butter. So if you use unsalted butter, just add another 1/4 teaspoon to it and do a 1/2 teaspoon of the salt, okay? So right here I used 1/4. So if you, like I said, if you use unsalted butter, then just increase that, just double that salt intake, okay? So then the next thing that we wanna do to this is we're going to add 3/4 of a cup of cubed cold butter. Now the whole recipe itself uses 1 1/4 cup of cold cubed butter. So I'm gonna put 3/4 of a cup in there, so that's 1.5 sticks of butter. And I just cubed it, and it's nice and cold, and that's all gonna go in there. So I've still got a stick left, so it's 2.5 sticks of butter, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and put the top on to my food processor, and I'm gonna pulse that, probably 4 or 5 times, okay? So let's see here, turn this on. There we go, that's pretty incorporated there. So here I'm gonna kind of lift it up. There's little tiny pieces of the butter, okay? So it's incorporated all in there really well. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add the remaining butter, the 1/2 stick, or the full stick, I'm sorry. So far we had 1.5 sticks in there, now we're adding the other stick, and that is it on the butter. So I'm gonna go ahead, put my food processor back on pulse, and I'm just using that pulse mode, okay? So that's about 8, 9 times, okay? So that should be good. So what I'm gonna do is now I'm gonna drizzle in the water. Now the water needs to be super cold. So what I've done is I have a bowl right here full of ice water. And you're gonna be using a 1/2 cup, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and just dip my measuring cup right into the water and try not to get any ice cubes in there. There we go, right there. All right, so I should have brought a little bit of a spouted one because that would have been a lot easier. Now you're gonna go ahead and just pour this in. I guess you could have taken the top off if you wanted to. I don't pulse this in as I go, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna pulse this probably 4 or 5 times. Perfect, a couple more, all right. So now that is all in there and ready to go. And I'm gonna kind of make some room here on my countertop because this is all gonna get folded out onto the surface. I'm gonna kind of move this out of the way so you can see what I'm doing here. Okay, this is the exciting part. We're gonna turn this out onto the surface and you can see there's still some chunky butter in there, which is completely fine. There's a couple pieces that didn't get incorporated like fully, but that's doesn't even matter at all. Most of it did, and that's exactly what you want, okay? So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna kind of knead this. And with these little pieces of butter, just kind of break them apart with your hands, okay? And you're gonna kind of just knead the dough. Now again, your hands are gonna warm this up. It'll help incorporate it at first, but then what you wanna do is you wanna get your hands right off it, okay? So we're just gonna kind of squeeze this together and you'll feel it kind of come together like kind of a hard dough, okay? Or like one of my other episodes, remember that pie dough I told you to try to not knead a lot or else it gets really tough? This is going to feel like overly tough pie dough, okay? It's just because of all the butter that's in it and there isn't a lot of water, so it's not really gonna be soft, but it will soften up later on, I promise you. All right, so you can see how that's all come together. And that's exactly what you wanna do. You just wanna kind of knead this until everything kind of incorporates with each other. Now, a couple of things you can do with this dough. Once it comes out and we actually use this for the purpose that we're intending to use it, as far as the cream horns, there's a couple of pieces of equipment that you're gonna wanna get. Or you can kind of get creative and make your own, okay? So you'll wanna get the cannoli forms, okay? Or cream horn forms, but I think they're called cannoli forms. They're really inexpensive, but if you wanna make your own cream horns, that's the way to do it. The reason why I tell you to get those is because they're a stainless steel non-stick, so that the stainless steel actually helps pull the pastry dough away from the mold. If you try to use like a dowel rod wrapped in, say, foil or something, you can do it. I've actually done it before, but it's still the dough kind of sticks to the inside. So you're just better off buying the cannoli ones. I think you can get like a pack of 12 or 24 for under $20. Okay, so if you really want to do these, then that's definitely what you want to do. Okay, just go buy them. It's okay. It's the best $20 investment you'll make, because then you'll think, oh my goodness, I can make this, I can make this, I can do cannolis, I can do cream horns, I can do all kinds of filled pastries with it. Okay, now, this is getting sticky, so I want to stop. So what I'm going to do now, that looks pretty well incorporated. You can kind of see, it's nice incorporated. We're going to take just a little bit of flour, not a lot. I'm going to kind of spread it on my surface and kind of rub it around to get all the butter up. Okay, because we want a smooth working surface. So that's why I just kind of sprinkle a little bit of it and get it all up and cleaned away. You could use a wet rag if you wanted to, but I don't like to do that when we're doing this. I want to keep the counter as dry as possible. Now we're going to just take, maybe a couple tablespoons of flour. Not much at all. You won't need much. And I'm going to grab my rolling pin. Now this is just a regular wooden rolling pin. They have the French rolling pins that are made of metal, stainless steel. You can definitely use that. That will keep it nice and cold. And what you're going to do is you're going to roll this out. Now you just turn it as you go. And if it gets stuck a little bit, just go ahead and grab a little more flour off your working surface or in your flour dish, and you're going to keep rolling. Now we're going to roll this out to about a 1/4 inch thick. Okay? So if you have a little measuring guide, go for it. I don't. I don't own one. I don't own a measuring guide. I own cannoli rolls, but I don't own a little measuring, a dough measurer. So, you know, I compromise. Some things I get and some things I just eyeball. So, whatever you want to do, as far as if you want to eyeball this or you want to measure it, you go for it. I'm going to turn this again. Now, the reason why I'm turning it is to keep it free off the bottom of my work surface so that it doesn't stick a whole lot, okay? So we're gonna keep rolling this. And when I get this to the right consistency, we're gonna come back and I'm gonna show you how to fold it. We're gonna wrap it, we're gonna refrigerate it, and that will be it. And then we'll take it out in a couple of hours and we'll roll it out and I will show you how to wrap the cannoli rolls and put them in the oven, and then we're gonna bake them off. So I'm gonna continue to keep doing this. I'm gonna form it into a rectangle. When we come back, I'll show you how to fold it, roll it, wrap it, and we'll be good to go. We'll be right back.